Another returning resident robbed and killed in Jamaica. This is Undiluted News. Mikey Bones reporting. We're going to start off in the United States, though. In the United States, former President and rebel rouser Donald Trump will be back in New York today. He's due back in New York under a dark legal cloud to answer more questions about his conduct a week after becoming the first ex-president to be charged with a crime. Last week, Trump pleaded not guilty in a case arising from a hush money payment to an adult film star. He is expected back in to give a deposition in a separate civil case alleging that he and three of his adult children falsified Trump Organization accounts in a year-long fraud to enrich themselves. And it's possible that the charmed life of the real estate magnate turned reality star turned twice impeached ex-president may be about to be doused in a cold shower of reality. And the last time he was at a deposition, he pleaded the fifth over 400 times. And if you can remember, during his campaign days, he used to go after Miss Clinton and Barack Obama. And this is the same man who said anyone who pleaded the fifth is guilty and should be locked up. Yes, he's now pleading the fifth for everything. Back in Jamaica, the Union of Clerical, Administrative and Supervisory Employees says more security guards are being laid off over their refusal to sign one-year employment contracts. Some guards, especially those who have been with their company for a protracted period, have expressed fear of losing benefits accumulated over the years. UK's President Vincent Morrison said he is receiving calls from security guards every day. Mr. Morrison said those guards who have been laid off are entitled to compensation from the companies. He is also calling for the Ministry of Labour to explain the apparent withdrawal of a letter dated March 20, 2023 and addressed to the managing director of Marksman Limited, in which the rights of employees under the new employment arrangements are outlined. And the Jamaican government needs to get up off their rear end and see to it that justice is done to these security guards. What the security companies are doing is unlawful, illegal, and inhumane. And this could get extremely violent when a person's right to earn a living gets trampled on and men start have their back against the wall. They have been warned. A U.S. fugitive who was extradited from Jamaica last month was sentenced to 10 years in prison for drug trafficking. Devon Bennett, 54 years old, pleaded guilty to one count of possession with intent to distribute heroin in May of 2018, admitting that he and others used his apartment to package and ship heroin and other drugs via U.S. mail. Bennett evaded bail and fled to Jamaica before his sentencing in September of 2008, where he had been on the run for more than 4 years. On the request of the U.S. law enforcement authorities in Jamaica located and arrested Bennett in February of this year, Bennett agreed to extradition and was handed over to the U.S. authorities on March 8. A farmer has been charged with housebreaking and larceny in relation to an incident in the Luano housing scheme in St. Elizabeth on Saturday, February 25th. Charges 27-year-old Jermaine Finley of Rocky Hill District in the parish. Reports from the Black River Police are that about 3 p.m. a woman securely locked her house and left. Upon her return, she discovered her house broken into and several items were stolen. She reported the incident to the police. Finley was reportedly identified by the police on the surveillance camera inside the woman's house and was subsequently arrested and charged on Monday, April 10th. Brother, Jamaica is now very advanced where technology is concerned. Many people have surveillance camera now to catch criminals. Meanwhile, a United States resident was robbed and shot to death by gunmen at his home in Monhegan, St. Anne on Monday night. He has been identified as Gregory McIntosh, a 43-year-old taxi operator from Brooklyn, New York. According to police, the now deceased had just arrived on the island. And it was reported that around 8 p.m., McIntosh was at home when 3 men armed with handguns entered the house and held him up and robbed him of cash and jewelry. The men then shot Mr. McIntosh. He died at the scene. The gunmen then escaped in a waiting motor car. And I've always said it that returning residents are targets when you go home. The police cannot protect you. A lot of times I would tell people, better not stay a foreign one day and leave Jamaica alone, because as soon as you go there, the gunmen are out, ready to rob and to kill. A 67-year-old man was shot dead at his home in Exchange in St. Anne on Tuesday morning. He has been identified as Christopher Smith, a retired bus driver from Hand-to-Mouth Street in Exchange. Reports were that about 5:30 a.m. Smith was at home attending to his flower garden when loud explosions were heard. He was later found lying face down with what appeared to be gunshot wounds to the back of his head. The police were called and processed the scene, where 2 spent casings were found. Smith was then pronounced dead at the St. Anne's Bay Hospital and his body later transferred to the morgue. On to sports, Jamaica's under-20 Reggae Girls will have less than 24 hours to prepare for their CONCACAF Championship opening game instead of 48 as the team will leave for Nicaragua today, a day less than scheduled. The 20-member squad, which is set to face Anguilla on Friday evening, will depart the island today on a chartered flight for the Central American country. The Jamaicans are drawn in Group E alongside Honduras, Bermuda, and French Guiana, and they must top the group to play in the final round with seeded teams Mexico and the United States. Meanwhile, Jamaica team is back home from their just concluded Carifta Track and Field Championship in the Bahamas, where the country once again topped the medal table for a 37th straight year. However, even with the success, one coach has blasted the organizers of the meet while noting this was Jamaica's most challenging championship in recent memory. The country had amassed 78 medals, comprising 40 gold, 22 silver, and 16 bronze medals, 36 more medals than their nearest rivals, Bahamas. And of course, it was very challenging because it was a lot of unprofessionalism that took place over there in the Bahamas. And if you ever miss this news on this radio station, please go to YouTube, type in Jamaican Undiluted News, listen, like, share, and subscribe to keep it going. My name is Mikey Bones. I gone.